Welcome to Season 4 of She Lancer, Mom Entrepreneur with VoiceOver Angela. I'm your host, Angela. I'm a full-time voiceover artist and audiobook narrator, and this podcast are the audio versions of my live Q&A chats on YouTube. If you'd like to be part of the live Q&A chats, come on over to my YouTube channel, VoiceOver Angela. I'm live every Tuesday at 12 p.m. EST. We talk about voiceover, the business of voiceover, audiobooks, and so much more. Find more information on my website, voiceoverangela.com. Enjoy today's episode. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are. Thank you for joining me again for another live Q&A session or chat here on my channel. I appreciate you spending some time with us. If you're new here, then welcome. My name is Angela. I am a full-time voiceover artist and audiobook narrator. And my channel here on, AC just turned on, my channel here on YouTube is dedicated to those of you just getting started out in this wonderful world of voiceover and audiobook narration. And through my channel, I share with you some things that I do every day in my own voiceover business, tips, tricks, techniques, And if you are not new here, then you know that every week we have a new poll. And that's usually the topic of today, although sometimes we do kind of get off the rails and talk about a few, and that's okay too, because, sometimes you have questions. But I base these chats on, questions that I see most often, usually the week prior. But again, if you have anything that you want to talk about specifically, then put it in the chat, put it in the comments if you're watching this in Team Replay. And perhaps we can talk about it again in a future live chat. But today we are talking about Fiverr. If you're just starting voiceover, or you've maybe been in voiceover or in audiobooks for a while, and you've been thinking about joining Fiverr, and you're like, okay, well, how do I create a gig? What is a gig? What do I make as a gig? There used to be 7 gigs that they allowed you to start with as a brand new seller. Now it's only 4. Perhaps maybe they thought that 7 could be a little overwhelming. And I think in reality it is. It's a little bit, I think, over the top for someone brand new. You need to be kind of, go in it slow or go at it slow, because it can be a little overwhelming. So you have 4 gigs available to you as a brand new seller. And we'll get into what I think would be good choices for those 4 gigs. But I wanted to see first, go over to the poll. If you are an existing Fiverr user, buyer, seller, and you are selling on Fiverr, you are actually you're getting orders and things, what is your best selling Fiverr gig? Because not only do I want to talk about what you should be putting up as a gig on Fiverr, but also to give those of you watching more ideas on, what you could be offering as a gig. Because what you offer as a gig, dang it, sorry, what you offer as a gig is going to come down to what path you want to go down in this voiceover journey. Because not everybody wants to do all kinds of voiceover. Some people just want to stick with audiobooks, or just want to stick with long form, or just want to dabble maybe in meditation, maybe just commercials, maybe, but if you're open to everything, then perhaps this conversation today will give you some direction, some ideas, some inspiration. So first, let's head over to the poll. It looks like we have 15 votes so far. And again, I'm only limited to 4 responses. So if there's a best-selling gig for you that is not listed in the poll, then please share that in the comments. That would be great. Again, we're sharing ideas and inspiration here. But it looks like 60% of you said commercial VO, right? Which is radio ads, TV ads, Google, Facebook, TikTok, really anywhere that it's paid advertising. That would be commercial VO. 27% of you said audiobooks. None of you said character VO or video games, which is surprising to me. 13% of you said e-learning or long form, and long form meaning anything that is longer than a minute, anything that is longer than like generally speaking, like commercial VO. So it could be documentary, could be YouTube videos, could be corporate training, onboarding, stuff like that, e-learning sort of um, longer VO, but not audiobooks. It's got a couple more votes here. It's still about the same. So the majority of you said commercial VO is your best-selling gig. Now, before we get over to the comments, I think because I don't like to make people wait to the end of the video to give the information that I have, so I'm going to tell you now. I think that's irritating. But if you're just starting out on Fiverr and you're going, okay, what kind of gig should I create? What I recommend, and I think a lot of other people would agree, is you want to cast as wide a net as you possibly can in the beginning. You don't want to just start with one gig. I think 4 might be even a little bit much, but it's still better than 7. I think 7 is a little bit much. I would usually say 3 to 4 anyway to start, and then just kind of see how that goes. So with those 4 that you have to start out with, I would start with absolutely a gig in which we reference as a like a general or an umbrella kind of a gig. For example, I'm in the USA, so my general gig would be American female voiceover, right? So you want to have one gig that's sort of a catch-all, right? That's everything other than perhaps audiobooks, because audiobooks are priced completely differently than any other type of voiceover. So you want to have a general gig that could include commercial, could include e-learning, could include IVR, which is phone greetings, phone tree. It stands for interactive voice response, basically phone trees. Meditation, it could cover everything apart from audiobooks. Another gig I would absolutely recommend is an audiobook gig, especially if you're an audiobook narrator. If you are an audiobook narrator and that's all you want to do, Fiverr is a great place to find audiobook work. I never would have thought of that in the beginning, but I tried it. And now I can tell you at this point, gosh, 6 years later, I would say 90% of my audiobooks now come from Fiverr. Because even if you are on ACX, authors can still find and source their narrator from wherever they choose. As long as they have an account on ACX, they can take the files that you send them, whether that's from Fiverr, direct like email, Upwork, anywhere else. They can take the files that you give them and then they can upload them into ACX and then in turn have an audiobook on Audible. So they can source their narrator from wherever they want. They're not limited to finding a narrator on ACX. As long as you, as the producer, are familiar with ACX's standards and know how to produce an audiobook to ACX's standards, that, they could find you anywhere. They can find you on Fiverr, Upwork, again, direct, anywhere. So having an audiobook gig on Fiverr, I think, is a very good thing. The only thing to keep in mind with that is that with Fiverr, you might have to do a little bit of mathing to get the hourly rate or the per finished hour rate correct on your Fiverr gig. And I believe I have a couple of videos here on my channel where I go through how to price an audiobook gig. So you're more than welcome to check that out, but it's a little bit too complicated to show you in a live. But that is the only thing to keep in mind, is that your word count math needs to equal your per finished hour rate, right? Another gig that I would recommend as a brand new seller on Fiverr, and if those are the only 2 you want to do, that's cool, but casting a wider net, I would utilize those other 2 gigs. And so those other 2 gigs could be IVR or phone greetings, which I recommend for new voice artists, because the orders are usually on the shorter side, right? They're smaller, bite-sized gigs. And I have found over the last 6 years of being on Fiverr that once somebody hires you to record their phone greeting or their phone tree, then they're going to hire you again when somebody leaves and they have to, change a voice greeting to someone else's name, right? So, for example, if it's, thank you for calling Acme Solutions, for Brandon, press 1, for Raquel, press 2. If Brandon leaves, then, and then John takes his place, now they have to hire you to replace John's. They have to, and that phone tree has to be changed to now reflect John instead of Brandon. So that's a great gig to have. And then that last gig could be whatever it is that you want to do. Like if there was something specific that drew you in to doing voiceover in the first place, like video games, character work, perhaps meditation. Meditation is a great one. That's one of my best sellers. E-learning, something specific, right? So you would have a general voiceover gig, an audiobook gig, and then 2 specific gigs. Now, with each one of these gigs, it's essentially all voiceover, right? But they don't have to be all voiceover. Side note too, if you have something else that you want to offer that you can, deliver in a digital asset, then you could offer that as well. It doesn't all have to be voiceover. But if you want to keep it all voiceover, I think I'm getting off on a tangent here. I can feel it. But you're essentially casting a wider net. So now instead of just having the 1 gig, right, for a general voiceover, you now have 4. So you have more probability of being found. And you can also beta test, different keywords and different thumbnail designs and, titles and tags, between the 4 gigs to see what works sort of better. And I've done that. And that actually works really well because each thumbnail needs to be different for each gig. Each sample or demo within each gig needs to be different. It needs to reflect that specific service. So for your general voiceover gig, it should have, because it is a general voiceover gig, a catch-all, right? Like an umbrella gig, it should have a sampling of what you offer. And then for the specific gigs, like for the IVR gig, for example, it should have all IVR demos in it or phone tree demos. For your audiobook gig, it needs to be all audiobook demos, right? So each one needs to reflect what you're offering, if that makes sense. There was something else I was going to say about the gigs, but I'm sure it'll come back to me or someone will remind me in the comments. So let's do that. Let's go over to the comments. If you have any questions about anything that I just rambled off, then put it in the comments and I'll be sure to make sure that I can answer that question for you. But let's go over to the comments. We have quite a few. I saw the comments about the music. I'm really digging my new music. I know it's a little bit more, I don't know. I can't think of a good word. I saw energetic. I think it is. I like it. Helps get me going in the morning. Caesar's here. Hey, Caesar. Hi, Caesar. Caesar says, long overdue in creating my Fiverr gigs due to a series of catastrophes. Yeah, you've had your string. You've been through a string of challenges, but I'm glad that you're on the other side of it. So now is the time. But I reckon I'd be pretty good at commercial VO. I reckon you would be too. Not only that, but audiobooks, e-learning. I think you would also be good with meditation, my friend. I think you should try that. I think your voice would be good for that. Maybe even YouTube narration. Top 10 reasons why fish can't live on land. That said, hello, Angelo. Hello, everyone. Got an email from Raven Wildwood saying my audition was awesome and I'm overwhelmed. I'm, again, not surprised. Not surprised. You're very talented, Caesar. Coming from a seasoned audiobook narrator, hope I don't disappoint her. I don't think that you will. I think that first and foremost, I understand the imposter syndrome that is just resonating off of your comment. I understand that. But you have to let that go. You cannot allow stinking thinking to overtake you. You can't. You just have to be proud of yourself and thankful and grateful and all of those things. You are very talented, Caesar. You are. And I don't think you're going to disappoint anyone. Rustic Hillbilly is here. Good morning. Good morning to you. Dylan is here. Hey, Dylan. Good morning, all. I said commercial, but it's tied with my IVR gig at 1. At 1, Fiverr hasn't been as good to me as Upwork or ACX, but I guess I'm better at auditioning than just putting myself out there. And that is also the thing. For people, in my experience, of people that, much like myself, started on ACX, Fiverr, and Upwork, it seems that people usually either do really well on Fiverr and not so much Upwork, or vice versa. They do really well on Upwork, but not so much Fiverr. And that's cool. I mean, they're all platforms to find work, right? It's good to be present on all of them because you never really know which one's going to sort of be your bag, right? Which one's going to be, is going to be better for you and your schedule and just makes more sense for you, right? Brian is here. Hey, Brian. Good morning, all. This is Brian. I answered commercial, but that's because there wasn't an option for. I've never sold any services on Fiverr. Yeah, I'm only limited to 4, but if you haven't, that's cool. I'm hoping that something today will encourage you or inspire you to perhaps give it a go. I've only sold on ACX. I think for sure, if you are on ACX, creating audiobooks for Audible on ACX, definitely have more ways for people to find your audiobook production services. One of them being Fiverr and another being Upwork. I've done a number of audiobooks through Upwork as well. My cup of tea, good morning. Want to say that this is encouraging to see the support in this community. Gives me hope and looking forward to the wisdom offered here. Well, I have to say I've never promised wisdom, but I'll share with you what I know. But yes, this community is very supportive and very encouraging of each other. And I think that's important. Encouraging, positive community. Definitely. Brian is here to Caesar. I'm not surprised at Raven's reaction. You're pretty awesome. He is pretty awesome. I agree. I'm not surprised either. Caesar's pretty talented. Mark Samuel said, hello, Angela. Hello, or hey, y'all. Starting my journey on Fiverr. Posted new gig yesterday and already had 79 impressions. Had one up for 2 weeks for a total of 58. That's great. And I have to remind you all, for those of you that haven't heard me say this, is that Fiverr, there's a natural ebb and flow to Fiverr. Work comes in waves on Fiverr because what they do is they shift everybody around every once in a while to give everyone an equal opportunity, right? So for example, me, myself, I'll see a big spike in work for maybe a day or two, maybe a week, and then it'll drop off. And then it's not completely like consistent in terms of when, but it always happens. Like work comes in waves. I'll see work, then I won't. I'll see work, then I won't. But throughout that wave, I will find repeat clients. And as long as you have your good customer service hat on and you deliver a good product and you're responsive and you treat them like people, right? You're kind and respectful and treat them the way that you want to be treated and you do the job, then they come back to you. And then you slowly start to build this larger and larger book of business, which is kind of how I got to where I am, right? So it's not going to be consistent impressions. It's not going to be consistently going up. It's going to be up and down, up and down. The key to figuring out whether or not you need to change something, maybe there's a keyword that you're using that no one is searching for, therefore you won't be found if you're not using keywords in your gig that your clients are using, then it won't be found, right? So to do a little bit of research, looking at other people's gigs, For example, if you look at page one on Fiverr, if you go in there as a buyer and you start typing in voiceover into the search bar, take a look at who's on page one. Take a look at the words that they're using in their title, in their tags. Their thumbnail pictures is also a big one, too. And perhaps consider making some changes and then track that. Every change you make to your Fiverr gig is going to reset your place in the current algorithm. And that algorithm, in terms of finding your gig, is going to change a lot depending on what keywords or what words our clients are using to search for the services that they're looking for. So because even like trends are going to change, right? So if there's an influx of people looking for audiobook narrators and they're using those words, audiobook as one word as opposed to audiobook as two words, audiobook narrator, as long as you have audiobook narrator somewhere in your title or in your tags, then you more than likely will be shown to those people, right? So there's a lot of variables that I think that we don't think about, but there's always an ebb and flow. So if you make a change to a gig and you watch that, watch the progress of that gig in terms of impressions and clicks, and if you are seeing a steady incline and then a nosedive, that's normal. If you don't see anything changing, like it's staying flat for a couple of weeks, then perhaps consider making a change. That means that there's something in your gig that's not being searched for, right? So there's no need to show you. So therefore, you need to change something to be found, right? But much like I think that was Dylan that said earlier, it's a little bit more productive to be able to audition for things on Upwork and other places where you can actually audition or bid on a job instead of just kind of sitting back and waiting for people to find you. But that's pretty much how Fiverr works. Is you have to sort of understand the algorithm and how it works, and then play that game. That's pretty much how that is. But throughout that process, earn repeat clients, earn repeat business, and then slowly climb the seller levels, right? So my point is keep going, stay consistent, work at it, and you may see some changes. You might see some positive changes, but just stick with it. Don't give up and throw in the towel before you even get started. Paul is here. Good morning, Paul. Good day, all. I've been spectacularly unsuccessful on Fiverr. Only one job landed since joining around 4 months ago, and that is pretty typical. Just side note, took me a few months to get my first job on Fiverr. But you have to stick with it. That doesn't mean you're unsuccessful. That just means that you're finding your place in the algorithm, or what you had available as search terms on your gig no one was searching for. Right? That doesn't mean you're unsuccessful. That just means that your gig is not visible. We need to figure out why. Or maybe we need to take a look at changing up your demos or something else. I do find the number of scam or attempts at scamming much higher than elsewhere. And I have too, especially when you're a brand new seller or like a seller one or the first level or the second level. More or less, you'll see that as a brand new buyer, because the scammers, which take advantage of you anywhere and everywhere anyway, but their impression of a brand new seller on Fiverr is that you're eager, or that you don't know, that you're naive, right? They're going to try to take advantage of you because they think that you don't know what you're doing or what you're looking for, and that you're eager for business. And in a lot of ways I was lucky enough for me. I had, maybe it was the 20 years in the car business that sort of, I had a pretty good detector for that stuff. So I would go, I don't know. But keep in mind that if you do have somebody reach out with something on Fiverr or Upwork or anywhere else that sounds maybe a little bit fishy or too good to be true, then ask your community. Reach out to your Facebook groups and say, hey, what do you guys think about this? Does this sound like legit, or is this not legit, or what do you guys think? You can do that. Just be careful with actual like usernames, because some Facebook groups won't allow you to post usernames of clients. That's a no-no in most places. But as far as the situation, you can get some feedback from your community and, figure out what to do. But scammers are going to try to take advantage of you everywhere, especially when it's a free platform, right? There's no barrier to entry. They can just get on there and try to take advantage of people. I see a whole lot less of those at my level at top rated, but as a brand new seller, I saw a lot, and that's pretty typical. You just have to know what you're looking at, basically. Dwight says, good morning. Good morning, Dwight. I do not have a best-selling gig yet. I have one out there, but I have yet to update all the samples. I am trying to get commercial work if possible. Well, there you go. You've got scripts in our platinum group. You could use ChatGPT, as a baseline or a foundation for copy, and then just change it a little bit, and then, record some demo work there for the samples. Don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. Just update them and move on. Time to boogie to the music. Yeah, I like my music. Damon Ray says, hi, Angela. Hello, Damon. Just starting to move into VO full-time from part-time. Congratulations. This is great timing for a vid on Fiverr gigs. Well, great. I'm hoping that something said is inspiring, encouraging, or I'm trying to not just ramble. Laura says, what energizing me? Yeah, I like the music. I like it. Hoagie Toon says, hello, VO peeps. Hello to you, Hoagie. Pamela's here. Hey, Pamela. Good morning. Good morning, all. I'm still in tech hell for the foreseeable future. Oh, that sucks. Low hum of ventilation system of the 4-story apartment building we rented. That stinks. I'm sorry. I can't get away from external sound issues. But then thanks to Caesar and Chris for their input. You might have to like build like a booth or something. Is it okay? If it's coming from the ventilation, we'll have to put our heads together on this. I'm sure you already have with Chris and Caesar, to be honest. So you might have to think way outside the box. Oh, here's Caesar. To Pam, I did have a listen to your vent hum, and as long as you keep your signal to noise ratio high enough, i.e. record with more gain, you'll be just fine with a touch of denoise. Well, there you go. See, not as bad as you thought. Grant says, hello, Grant. Hi, Angela. Does it make sense to do Fiverr if you're working in a remote full-time job when I can't be available to respond to clients during standard work hours? I did. If it's something that you can't do on your computer, perhaps because you're being tracked as a remote worker, the Fiverr has an app that you can download on your mobile phone, and you can respond to clients there. And they have available to you on Fiverr what they call lightning responses, which is like a pre-filled response, like a preset response that you can just send off to clients that perhaps you're unavailable at this time, but you will get back to them, as soon as you are available. That way they don't just, that way you're still responding and not just leaving them hanging. You could do that. But I was employed full-time, and I was able to manage ACX, Fiverr, Upwork for about a year and a half, almost 2 years, while being employed full-time. It's a lot of extra work, but worth it to build, for me anyway, to build the foundation that my business now sits on. So it was worth it to me to get past that tough period of trying to figure out and answer to people and, quote stuff while I was trying to do other stuff at work. So it's tough, but it was definitely worth it to, again, build the foundation that I now sit on. But the lightning responses, I think, would be good for you, for responding right away and then saying, hey, I'll get back to you when I can. And then when you take a lunch or something, perhaps, then you can respond to the clients. Dylan says, if somebody finds you on Fiverr and you produce the files for them to upload to ACX, do they still list you as of course. They better not take credit for your work. Then that would be an issue. Then you could contact Amazon, ACX, whomever, and say, hey, and you have, the order receipt. You have the order, not the invoice, but you have documentation that you produce that. So they'll either take it down or force them to. I've never had that situation happen. Not only that, but your name is also in the opening and closing credits. But again, I've never had that happen. But the authors are allowed to source their own narrator from wherever, because even if the author themselves, if they want to narrate the book, then they're allowed to do that. So at the same time, they're allowed to source their narrator from wherever they choose. But yes, they would still list you as the producer or narrator. Caesar says, I think the word to describe your music choice is contemporary. Yeah, contemporary. I think it's like a little bit disco-y, housey. I like it. I like that stuff. Mark says, where would I get a demo IVR? I made it up. I mean, how many times have you called into your doctor's office or to your dentist or really anywhere where there was an automated message that said, thank you for calling blah, blah, blah business. For sales, press 1. Just make it up. Or again, Chat GPT. Just put in a prompt into Chat GPT and have it spit you out a script. Or just make it up. I did. Make it your own business. That's what I did. Mr. LDJ Writer 1 says, hello, Angela and everyone. Hello to you. I'm going to get on Fiverr as I'm seeing that as a very viable option to pursue. It is. It was for me anyway. It still continues to be a good place it's a good source of income for me, and it still continues to be. I haven't seen any really dip in business. So it's still a viable source of income for me 6 years later. Matthew Harris is here. Good morning, Matthew. I didn't answer the poll because I'm a straight up beginner, and that's okay. I mean, we all start somewhere. Sorry if this is an already answered question, but what is a typical demo length time-wise? That's a great question. I think you're actually limited if we're talking about Fiverr. I think you're limited to, I think it's 3.5 minutes, but I think that is even a little bit long. You're allowed to put in 3 different samples for each gig, for each specific gig. I would keep them to, you could make them a minute long. If it's an audiobook gig, I would say 2 minutes max is really all you need, because the client's going to know within the first few seconds if you're the voice that's right for the project or not. So they don't need to be super long. I would say a minute, and for audiobooks, 2 minutes each. Brittany Lynn says, I've sold 1 book trailer on Fiverr, and that's all. That's all for now. If you're not seeing a whole lot of impressions, then change up some stuff. Don't just sit back and, get angry at Fiverr. Be proactive. Go out there and make some changes. Change up your thumbnail. If you're not seeing any business at all, then what could it hurt to revamp the gig? Change the demos. I'm sure what you uploaded a few months ago is going to be a different quality than what you are now. We just inherently get better as we go. So what would it hurt? Refresh everything. Refresh your thumbnails, refresh your demos, refresh your keywords and tags. But before you even do that, do some research first. Whatever the gig is that you're looking to refresh, again, go onto as a buyer onto Fiverr and search for those keywords. Let's just say it's an audiobook gig. You want to refresh your audiobook gig. Then go into Fiverr as a buyer and search audiobook production, or audiobook narrator, ACX, all the words that our clients would use to find us, and see what comes up. And then take a look at those gigs. What do their thumbnails look like? What kind of words are they using in their title? What kind of, what words, keywords are they using in their tags? What's their pricing structure look like? All of those things you could take as inspiration when you refresh your gig. What could it hurt? Take the bull by the horns. Do something about it. Do it. Dwight says, response to Caesar's top 10. Reason number 10, fish don't do well with dry humor. Ha ha. Number 9, it flips them out. Wait, there's more. Yeah, I bet there is. Good morning, Dark Lens. Good to see you. Thank you for doing these lives. Thank you for popping in and saying hello. Caesar says to Dwight, great, now I have coffee all over my keyboard. That's a bad thing. You shouldn't have coffee on your keyboard, Caesar. Michael Wright says, good morning, Angela and all. Good morning to you, Michael. Brand new to voiceover. Grateful to be in here and learning. Good. Welcome to the VO family. Grant says, as someone who is spectacularly unsuccessful at a Fiverr, a Wyver? I would say here, you know me, I don't like the stinking thinking. Don't consider yourself unsuccessful. Don't consider yourself as not cut out or whatever it is. I mean, if it's a Fiverr versus Upwork thing, like we mentioned before, some people just do better on Upwork than they do on Fiverr and vice versa. But I would not attach negativity to yourself. I would do something about it. I would be proactive and go refresh. And if that doesn't work, try something different. Because Fiverr is just a platform where they host sellers. And then buyers can then in turn come and find those sellers, but they can't find you if you don't if you're not using the same search terms that the clients are using, or your thumbnails aren't appealing enough. They don't look like everybody else's. They don't look, well done or, whatever. You could actually hire somebody on Fiverr to create thumbnails for you. It's a place where you can just about find anything, in a digital respect. So do something about it. Don't just sit back. Be proactive. It's your business. Go get it. Don't sit back on your laurels. Go get it. Just do it. Lorna's Adventures After 50 says, happy Tuesday from Galicia, Spain. Finally sunny. Nice to be able to join you live. Thanks for all you do. So jelly you're in Spain. Thanks for being here. Pamela says, Caesar, perhaps I misunderstood your comment regarding my low range voice. Let's take it over to Discord later. It sounds like we're going to get that sorted out for you, Pamela. I'm excited for you. Andrew says, thanks for your insights and advice. Of course. Of course. Thank you for being here to listen to me ramble. Darkland says, have a great rest of your day. Thank you for the good information as always. Oh, thank you, darling. My cup of tea says, that's my issue. I overthink VO stuff and end up frustrating myself. Sometimes it's tech or just me. I find that most of the time it's just us. We are our own worst critics, for sure. We tend to overthink. I know I did. I overthought way too much. I still do. I still think I make it more complicated in my head than it actually is, because we don't know what we don't know yet. And then we think that learning something new, for me anyway, let me just speak for myself, learning something new was going to be more complicated because I was counting myself out at the start. I was making it more complicated than it needed to be, than it actually was, because I think in my head, I was counting myself out as not able to do it. Like I was not going to be good enough. I was not going to be able to sustain it or achieve it, right? In my own head, I was counting myself out in the beginning. So I made it more difficult than it really was. But this industry has had more supportive and helpful, loving, encouraging people than I have ever been involved with before. So the help is there. The encouraging words and support are out there. You just need to go become part of it. You can find communities that will help you through these things and help you see that perhaps maybe you are overthinking, or perhaps that issue that you're so hung up on that is keeping you from moving forward isn't really an issue at all. You're the one making it an issue, and it's not really an issue. We all do it. We all do it. This is starting anything new is intimidating, is overwhelming because we want it. And I think we are afraid to achieve it. So we sort of hold ourselves back, I think. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's just my opinion. I know I did it. I know I did it. But most of the time, it's just us. We do it to ourselves. Donnie's here. Hey, Donnie. Hey, all. Been here lurking. It's okay. You're allowed to lurk. A cup of tea says, yep, lurk away. But thank you for saying hi. Donnie says, at my other job and training a new guy, my website is giving me a complex. It is still blank. Websites are important. Websites are important. I think wherever, let me just back up and say there are a lot of places where you can host your voiceover services. There's the pay to plays like, Voice 123, voices.com, Badalgo, Backstage. I mean, there's a ton of places where you can, create a profile and host your voiceover services. And when you start marketing yourself on these places and on social media, you need a website to direct all that traffic, and also for people to find more information about you to make sure that you are a legit voice actor, that you're not a scammer, right? Because the same thing that we do to clients that we may think are scammers, when we go do a little bit of research about them, they do the same thing with us. They want to make sure that the person that they're giving their money to is an actual legit person, much like we do. We all want to verify that who we're working with is a legit person. So to do that, they may Google you. And when they Google you, they may see all of your other profiles on all these other voiceover places. And in addition to that, your very own voiceover website. So having a website is definitely going to be something that's going to help solidify, it's the optics, not only that, but a way to reach out to you and contact you, perhaps to hear what you sound like off of the platform they found you on, right? So having a website is very important, especially if you're going to market yourself on social media, because they want to find out more about you. They go to your website or you direct the traffic there. So don't sit on it, Donnie. Don't overthink it either. Just throw some stuff up there. Move on. You can always update it later. Dylan says, how do you feel about a Fiverr demo that's more humorous than professional for an animation demo? I think for animation, humor is going to be the winning formula. That's my opinion. I think having something that stands out is not a bad thing. Something that is different is not a bad thing. It's not more of the same. I think especially for animation, it should be humorous. I have ideas in my brain, but they aren't what you typically hear when you click on other profiles. And I think that's a good thing. So it's not more of the same. So do it. For sure. Tycon Delar says, do you think making an introductory video on Fiverr is a good strategy? I would say yes. I would say filling out everything that you can fill out on Fiverr is a good thing because it tells the algorithm that you're invested, in putting everything up that you possibly can, filling out everything that you can on your gig. And then the introductory video also shows potential buyers that you are a real person, right? Especially if it's a video of you in your studio, much like you see me here. If it was me saying, hey, thank you for checking out my Fiverr gig, then that would be a big deal. It would show that you're a real person and you have an actual studio and that you're not someone using an AI thing, an AI service to do the voiceovers. Or if you make your introductory video like a compilation demo showing stuff that you have done, I don't think that's a bad thing. My only, I don't want to say issue, but I don't do that because the audio quality is not the best. I think it was something that Fiverr was trying to work on for a while. But I have found that everything on this server, this network, is compressed because there's so much information stored there. So, what it does to the audio quality is not the best. And that's essentially what we're selling. So, I don't want to give anybody looking at my gig a first impression of me sounding like super compressed and just grody sounding. But the audio files, the MP3s that you upload as samples sound fine. It's just, it seems to be just the videos. And some people, don't care. It's really up to you if you want to do that. I might at some point reconsider or rethink adding an introductory video because I think putting a voice to a face is a good thing and showing that you're not using AI services. So I think it could be a good thing. I might rethink my strategy and actually make videos again. So I would say give it a try and see if it works. See if it helps boost your place in the algorithm. It could. Donnie says, remember to like, subscribe, and watch on a 72-inch TV in 1080p. No, 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 no. Andrew says, first time. Is this every Tuesday? Yes, it is. Every Tuesday at 12 p.m. EST, I am here. I think in what? How long have we been doing this? 2 or 3 years now? Being live every Tuesday at noon. I think I've only missed a couple because I was sick or something. But yes, every Tuesday at 12 p.m. EST, we are here talking about a topic or 5. Yep, absolutely. And then these are also stored on my channel so you can watch it on the replay if you want to. And then they're also created and made into podcasts. So depending on how you want to listen, you can find this talk there. Dylan says, making things more difficult than they really are. Finally, I'm great at something. Stop it. Grant says, is someone who is under the influence while doing a VO recording a high Fiverr? You guys are so silly. Donnie says, LOL, Dylan, does anyone have experience with Squarespace? And then Dylan says, sorry, I'm a Wix man. I want to say there was somebody in our platinum group that did use Squarespace. I don't remember who that was though. But Donnie, if I was you, I would hop into our Discord and ask that question. I don't know which thread would be appropriate for that, but I bet you'll probably get some good responses in our platinum Discord because I'm a Wix woman. I've always used Wix. I really like Wix. I have not used Squarespace. Grant says, is someone who does a VO while under the, that was a duplicate. Joy, hey, Joy. Good to see you. Hello, everyone from sunny Southfield, Michigan. I overdid it again with housework and both knees hurt. Girl, you need to just take it easy. I know it sucks sitting back and just doing nothing. I know, but you have to. I just can't seem to win, so I'm going to stick with working on finishing my website for now. Good. Finish your website already. Dwight says, we do shoot ourselves in the foot and procrastinate. Sometimes because it seems harder to do than it really is. Sometimes it is not imposter syndrome, just fear of not knowing how to do some things. And that is true. That is true because, again, we don't know everything. We don't even know what we need to know in the beginning. But I think as you go along in this day and age with the ease in accessing information, I mean, YouTube, anything, just about anything that you could ever want to know how to do, you can find a video on it on YouTube. But I think for things like specific things like what to have on a website for a voice artist, I think you can find that stuff on YouTube too, to be honest. But again, being part of a community is a great thing, not only for the support, the mental, emotional, spiritual support, but also in the technical how to, what to do, what not to do. Those are all things that you can find answers to in your community. So if you're not part of a voiceover or audiobook community yet, then please find one. You'll be happy you did. There's a lot of them on Facebook. Or if you can find like a mastermind group like mine, my platinum group, we have a Discord that we can, pretty much find answers or support or whatever almost 24/7. But you'll be happy that you did, because you'll find answers like answers and support and all of that stuff. I can feel the tangent coming. I'm trying to pump the brakes on it right now. But definitely join a community. It'll help. Ty Condolar says, how much does it cost to create and manage a website? I'm hearing up to $5,000. I built my own on Wix. Once you choose a website platform that you want to work with, and you can just try some out, take a look at them, and you can create a website for free on most of these platforms. You just have to deal with, that host's branding on some of your stuff. But you could start for free on most places. And what I did is that I chose Wix because I just liked the layout of it. And then they give you templates to choose from. So you choose a template, which has got color palettes, design, the whole thing. And all you have to do is go to where it says put photo here. You upload a photo there, and it says put title here, and you type in a title. I mean, it lays it out for you. It's ridiculously simple. They make it as simple as possible to do that. And then if you want to add extra features to your website, like audio players and things like that, then they may charge you like an additional fee and then remove the branding and all of that stuff. If you want to have somebody create one for you, that's when it gets into some serious cost, and managing that website, that's when you get into serious cost. But if you're going to do it yourself, you can save a considerable amount of money. And believe me, it's not as scary as it seems. If I can build my own website, everything on my website, if you've seen my website, voiceoverangela.com, I built all of that myself. And if I can do that, you guys should have no problem. Khan Farhan says, I have scored more than 80 jobs on Fiverr. Good for you. I qualify for the next level, but just 1 point behind on success score. How can I change that? It's stuck on 6 and I need 7. That's going to depend on your clients. You cannot change that other than doing the best that you can, making sure that you're prompt in your responses, that you are, being flexible when your clients need you to be. I mean, that's just wearing a good customer service hat. And sometimes doing all that you can is still not going to reflect as far as what your clients tell Fiverr, because that's ultimately going to be that's your client's response to Fiverr about how their experience was with you, right? So just keep at it. Eventually it will tick back up again. Just keep doing what you're doing and, doing the right thing, doing the best that you can. Dylan says, great stream today. Tons of good information and as always, inspiration. Like Bear said, be sure to click the thumbs to button. Click the thumbs to button. Yes, please click the thumbs to button and then the button to thumbs. Andrew says your Discord handle. Our Discord is if we're talking about the Discord that I was just talking about, we have our own platinum Discord server for my platinum group. Laura said, I've accidentally forgotten the closing credits on the last 3 audiobooks I've narrated for the same publisher. I'm concerned that this may potentially wipe me off their roster. Thoughts? Reach out to them. Reach out to them and say, hey, do you need these? I'm a goofball. I realized I left them out, but reach out to them. Reach out to them directly. Caesar says to Ty Condolar, depends entirely on the scope of work, but they can be done for lower, like sub 1,000, as long as you don't need stuff like e-commerce or booking or widgets or anything fancy. Yeah, it's all going to depend on what you want on your website will determine the cost. D says, I am late. I hope you brought the donuts. If you're late, you bring donuts. It's the rules. And maybe you've said this somewhere before, but were you training for a Fiverr course at one point? I am a Fiverr trainer. I am an official Fiverr trainer on Fiverr. Am in the middle of creating like a course for Fiverr for my website. Is that what you mean? I am creating a Fiverr course, yes. And it's a big project, so it's taking some time, but I'm trying to get it finished. Jason says, these days, setting up and managing your own website is really easy. It was definitely not as difficult as I made it in my head, for sure. It's just a matter of how complicated you want it to be and how much time you want to have to spend on it. Yeah. Gary Micheloni says, Fiverr success score is made up score by Fiverr. It has to do very much with how many new jobs you bring in. I have almost all 5 stars, but Fiverr will downgrade without new work. Well, yeah, it's a revolving score. Like I think is it a 60-day, 30-day, 90-day, something like that. They keep changing and updating stuff, and not everybody is happy about this new scoring thing either, but it has to do, it's all like on a revolving. So yes, you need to keep business coming in. So that way it's recent. It reflects how you currently stand, right? Because if you have somebody doing work from a buyer's perspective, you have somebody doing work on something that you need, but they haven't been available. They just fell off the planet, a year ago. We don't want to show them, if I was Fiverr, I don't want to show them to people that I spent a lot of money to get to come to my website. Show that seller as, a top rated seller if they haven't done any work in a year. So they have to keep it revolving to show your current status. So you have to remain active. And if you don't have jobs coming in, then start refreshing those gigs to get some jobs coming in, for sure. It's not that they hate you. It's just that that's how you currently sit. So you have to get proactive and get on it. Gregory says, I'm late too. Sorry, I ate the donut. No. I want donuts. I'm creating new Fiverr profiles to hone in on specific skill sets. Good for you. Good for you. Dwight says, Angela, you are an excellent role model. Oh, stop. Thank you for being who you are and your willingness to help us learn VO. Keep it up and your much continued success to you. I appreciate you, Dwight. I don't know if I would consider myself a role model, but I share what I know. I share what I know in hopes that it helps. But thank you. Donnie says, sorry, I'm using Bluehost LOP. What is Bluehost? Is Bluehost like a website host? Oh, I have heard of that one, Bluehost. I have heard of that one. Gary says, after 3 years, they will demote me to new seller. And I've heard that happening. It all depends on, that revolving score, unfortunately. I know. There's a lot of people that don't like this new scoring system, but I think Fiverr's still in that. They've changed quite a bit within the last 6 years that I've been on there in beta testing things of their own. I don't know if it's going to stay forever. I'm sure they're going to change it again because there's a lot of people that are upset with this new scoring system. I don't know. We'll see. Khan says, on average, how many hours do you record each day? After 4 hours nonstop, I get less creative. What's your gear when you travel? Every day is going to be different depending on what I have to do. I do not only voiceovers, audiobook, but I also do audio editing in the form of podcast. Like I have about 30 or so podcast clients that I edit for as well. So it's going to depend on what I'm doing that day. But whatever it is I'm doing, I make sure that I'm only sitting in this chair for a maximum of 3 hours. Then I get up and go take a break. I go do something else. I go run an errand. I go pick up the kid from school. I go do a load of laundry. I go for a walk. I go on the treadmill. whatever it is. You have to get up and, clear the slate, get some exercise, get some air, take a break, right? Gear when I travel, I have a laptop, and then I have a case. My Sennheiser goes with me. I have a one of those Zoom Hero. I think it's a Hero. Not. Am I thinking of? I think it's a Hero 6. It's one of those portable recording devices. But you could put an SD card into it, or plug it directly into your interface. It's sort of like a portable interface. You could plug your microphone into it, and then my laptop, I put it all in a carry-on laptop bag, and that's what I take. As far as soundproofing or room treatment, I'll just find whatever I can find. Pillow fort, maybe a closet, throw some duvets in there. I mean, you just kind of have to do what you have to do. A lot of people find success in recording in their cars. Most cars, newer cars anymore these days, are pretty, not soundproof, but pretty good with sound control. There's a lot of people that do a lot of different things. So this is going to depend on what's available to you, but that's my travel setup. But I try to actively enjoy my vacations when I go on them. I don't want to have to do work. So I usually tell my clients that I'll be unavailable. It'll only be like an emergency situation where I will have to record something, but I try to be present in my vacations. Unless I'm traveling for work, or a conference or something. Marlon says, "Hi, Angela. Thank you for the lives. Did you say earlier to use ChatGPT for scripted demo? I ask not having anything." You can. There's a lot of people that do. If you're just looking for copy, or you could write your own. Think of, how many commercials have we seen in our lifetime, right? Or phone greetings when you pick up the phone and call somebody. Use your own imagination, because it's not as much as you would think it is. I think writing your own is okay, but yes, you could use ChatGPT to create like the bones of your copy, and then just change it a little bit, right? Make up business names, why not? Donnie says, yes. Oh, yes. Bluehost is a web hosting company. Yeah, I thought it was. I don't know much about them, but I have heard of them. Joyce says, right, a vacation is a vacation. That's true. The whole point of a vacation is to go and decompress, right? So go decompress. I know we don't take as many vacations as we should. We definitely should. It's a vacation for a reason. So we definitely should just take the vacation. Right. All right, y'all. I have got to get going. I've got some stuff that I got to finish up today. But thank you for joining me again today for this live Q&A session. I will be back next Tuesday, same bat time, same bat channel. And again, if you're watching this in Team Replay, if there's something that you would like to talk about as a group next week, then please leave it in the comments down below. But until then, I will see you guys later. Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to She-Lancer Mom Entrepreneur with VoiceOver Angela. That's me. For more information about me, visit my website, voiceoverangela.com, or hop on over to my YouTube channel, VoiceOver Angela. Again, thanks for listening. Have a great day.